few things to talk about in this one. I'm so angry. You are now live on your channel. Thank you, Gmail. This is a very weird time for me. We might not have any joiners. Okay, we got some likes. Maybe someone's here. Hello. Let's fix that. Hello. Good morning. Oh, yes, it is morning where you are. It's afternoon where I am. Man, I got some stuff for you today. I was so angry. I'm very angry. Making videos on these topics is a lot of fun, but sometimes some of these things make me so mad, and what is happening right now on our border is just unbelievable. Let's start with, hey guys, thanks for joining. Okay, cool, we'll get started now. We got a few people. Let's start with San Francisco, and then we'll go into the border. San Francisco mayor caught maskless. So the San Francisco mayor, London Breed, has broken her own health order after being seen singing and partying in a nightclub without a mask. The Black Cat nightclub official Instagram page had posted and then deleted. Hi, thank you so much, Steven. Thank you everyone for being here. So this nightclub in San Francisco posted a picture of the mayor partying without a mask on and then quickly deleted it. She has broken her own mandate. So according to the San Francisco mandate, according to the citywide mandate, Breed announced, the same one who got caught with it down, Breed announced in August the health department requires that everyone wear a well-fitted mask indoor public buildings, even if they are fully vaccinated, except while actively drinking. Hi, Al. Long time no see. So you have to have your mask on at all times, even when you're indoors, except when you are actively drinking or eating, which she is not. So several pictures were released and then quickly deleted. It was a Pelosi setup. I know, right? Nobody was distancing, nobody was masked, and so she's being called out. Let me see if she said anything. Seemingly aware that she broke her own citywide indoor mask mandate, Breed told the San Francisco Chronicle that she tests often, and at the end of the day, everyone who comes in here has to show proof of that you've been vaccinated. That gives me a lot of reassurance. I don't think we expected anything other than what they're doing. You're right. How silly of us to actually expect that they would follow their own mandates. She said, I've been very careful, not just because I want to set an example, but because I don't want to get the COVID. Sadly, I doubt anything will happen. I know, right? I also want to make sure that I am not somebody transmitting to other people. This entire pandemic has been focused on keeping people safe. Okay, so again, she broke her own mandate because it says even if you are fully, you still have to wear a mask indoors, so she still broke the rule. She clearly feels like it's fine and safe to remove her mask and then let that be the rule for everyone else, a gym owner added. You're not impervious to getting it any more than I am, so let the rules be for you and not the same rules for me. So it happened again. All of the same people who keep implementing this stuff break their own rules again and again and again. Very fascinating, Miss Breed. Okay, what is happening on the border? This is just, I'll be honest with you, like what's happening right now. Hello from Northeast Ohio. Great to see one of your live streams. Thank you for being here. Oh, by the way, there's so much stuff, especially this morning. I made a 10-minute video that I don't even feel comfortable posting because I have to censor myself a lot on these platforms to make sure that I don't get banned or taken away. So I'm opening up memberships. I think it'll be open on Monday. If you want to become a member, I'm still going to have the same content on my page, but I'm also opening up memberships. So you'll have access to stuff that is not made public. I'll be opening up memberships on YouTube. I got approved to do it. And then I'll be opening up memberships on local. So if you want to go on either, I'll still have my same content. But if you want to see more, a few things I don't feel comfortable saying on here, and also probably a lot more like personal stuff. I already have videos that I'm uploading, but I wanted to wait till Monday, so I had a lot of content if you want to become a member. So that will be launched on Monday, and I'm excited to do it because then I'll share more personal stuff behind the scenes. I give you a tour of my farm, some of my old YouTube videos, and then there will be live streams on there that I won't do publicly, so we can really talk even more than we do now. Okay, so what is happening on the border? Man, I love making these videos. I have such a good time researching these topics, but once in a while, like there's certain things, they make you so angry. And this just makes me, it's unbelievable. I'm so angry about this. It doesn't make any sense. What is happening on the border? So if you saw the last video that I posted, it was just a little short video, and we had footage of a bridge. It's the International Bridge in Del Rio. Happy Friday, Lance. The International Bridge in Del Rio, Texas. And there was footage of, at the time, 9,300 migrants that were being kept under the bridge and are getting ready to be released into the U.S. And they grew from, I think, 6,000 to 8,000 to almost 10,000 the next day. Well, now there's 10,500 migrants under that border, and they are coming in by the hour. And I'm looking at this footage. It's mostly males, and they are mostly from Haiti. And if you know the numbers, people that come over our border illegally and claim asylum, 90% of those people do not actually meet asylum status. And from what I'm looking at right here, these are mostly men that are coming over. Someone just said, why don't we just say no? I don't know. That seems like the logical thing. You will have to ask Biden, but I don't know if you saw it. He's on vacation now. He left the White House early today, and he is going to the beach for the weekend. So we have Americans that are stuck in Afghanistan. We have this insanity happening on the border right now, and he's on vacation. So there's that. But okay, so here's Bill Melugin. Bill Melugin, he works for Fox News. He's been on the border for about 7 months right now. If there's somebody you want to follow, I saw the migrant situation on FNC. Had no idea so many people were coming from Haiti until this morning. Yeah, and apparently what happens is a group of people will come. Yes, thank you. Help the algorithm. So what happens is, yes, they're coming from Haiti. By the way, they come from all over the world. There was reports like back before Biden became president. It was right around 2016 when we had all of those caravans coming. There were migrant facilities filled with people from the Congo in Mexico. So they come all over, not just from Mexico and South America. Yeah, most of these people are from Haiti. And what happens is a group will come over and they're let in, so they'll let their friends know, they'll let their family know, and then more people just come over. So this is never going to stop. It'll just keep happening until we do something. And where does this story end? How many are going to be coming in? How many can we take? And again, from what I'm seeing, this is mostly men that are coming. Mostly men. There's little to no women. Unbelievable. So Bill Melugin says, more migrants are arriving here in Del Rio, Texas, after crossing a dam in the Rio Grande and entering the United States illegally. There are now at least 10,500 migrants underneath the International Bridge, with more coming by the hour. Intel is up to 10,000 more coming. So that'll be 20,000 people. And then this happened. So again, Bill, well, I'll just read you. This was kind of weird. New. This is from Bill. We have learned that the FAA just implemented a 2-week TFR, temporary flight restrictions, over the International Bridge in Del Rio, Texas, meaning we can no longer fly our Fox drone over it to show images of the thousands of migrants. FAA says for special security reasons. Fox News has been covering the border nonstop for almost 7 months now, and we use the drone constantly, and it has never been an issue. We have reached out to the FAA to ask questions for clarification on why this TFR was implemented. We haven't heard anything back. We'll update when we do. Okay, so they just heard back on why this has been implemented. The Border Patrol requested a temporary flight restriction due to drones interfering with law enforcement flights on the border. As with any temporary flight restriction, media is able to call the FAA to make requests to operate in the area. So there's that. Hopefully there will be an update on that, but they restricted, now they can't even use their drones to get footage out of what's happening over there on the border. I mean, where does it end? What's the saying? You can't have open borders and be a welfare state. And I don't know what's going to happen. All foreign aid embarked for Mexico should be reallocated to Border Patrol. I don't know why it isn't. So apparently Greg Abbott, here, I'll find this story for you. So Greg Abbott, he is the governor of Texas, and he's ordered, it's a disaster on the border, it is. So Greg Abbott, the governor of Texas, has ordered all ports of entry to be closed, but the issue is they're not coming over the ports of entry. They're not using the ports of entry, so I don't know what that's going to do for the crisis that's happening. Ports of entry. And that's another thing. We're being mandated. Well, first of all, the people that are implementing these mandates, a lot of them, they keep getting caught not following them. And then our border's wide open. Okay, so Greg Abbott orders port of entry to be shut down along Texas. Oh, the federal, this is interesting. Del Rio, Texas, Greg Abbott said Thursday that he has directed the ports of, he has directed state troopers and the Texas National Guard to shut down 6 points of entry along the southern border. But CBP spokesperson said that federal government, which operates the ports of entry, says that they have no plans to do so. I want to know what, hold on, I didn't plan this. We're just going off the seat of our pants with this. So I actually have contact with a border security agent, and I want to ask him if all of these migrants are going to be released into the U.S. I'm going to email him right now, see if he gets back to me. I feel like claiming as a migrant just, right? No, that's what it feels. That's what's so sad. It feels like, yes, they are with a court date. Well, they're not going to show up. We know that. Most migrants do not show up, or most people that claim asylum do not show up to their court dates. Okay, I just emailed him. Unbelievable. But that's why more and more people keep coming, because they're allowed to cross, so they tell their friends and they tell their family, and then they keep coming. Don't we have enough homeless people living under the bridges? You would think. I mean, that's a really good point. That's another reason why a lot of this is just so unbelievable, because, you know, if you're from California, you understand how bad our homeless situation is. Wow, an afternoon stream. What's up, Sarah? Hi. I just decided to get on. I was angry, so I decided we could all be angry together. So all the people that you see waiting are in line for that process. It seems like it. Yeah, that's why they're waiting. They're waiting to get processed to be released. I don't understand. Side note, have you seen the Biden billboards put up in Pennsylvania? Yes. What did it say? Did it say make the Taliban better again? Build Back Better, and then it had a picture of the Taliban or something like that. One of them was in York, Pennsylvania. There's some really funny Biden's billboards making fun of Joe Biden. Making the Taliban better again. That seems like that's about all he has built back better. Oh my gosh. Did you guys see that? There was somebody actually mentioned it on a video that I made, but there is a documentary by Lauren Southern called Borderless. And if you really want to understand sort of, I call it like I don't know, like the migrant industrial complex or whatever you want to call it. Borderless is really good. So she goes in and sort of investigates the migrant crisis that happened in Europe. And that happened in Europe too. At a lot of these migrant camps, a lot of people were getting assaulted, and really bad things were happening to women and children, and even some men were afraid. People were just living in fear in these camps. So someone just said that there's a migrant camp in New Jersey with about 3,000 refugees from Afghanistan, and pretty bad things are happening there. I believe it. A lot of bad things happen in these migrant camps. There's another really good movie or really good documentary also. It's called America's Forgotten. America's Forgotten. And this documentary was actually started by an actress in Los Angeles. And the reason she started this documentary is because there was a death. Got to make things worse if you're going to build it back better. Absolutely. So there was a death of a really young girl. She was about 7 or 8 years old on our southern border. And this, so she wanted to investigate that death. And it was a girl from India. Because remember, I told you, like, people come from all over. So she crossed the border, or she was attempting to cross the border illegally with her mom, and the daughter or the little girl, I believe she passed of maybe exhaustion or dehydration, something along those lines. So the girl that made this documentary, who was a leftist at the time, did not like Donald Trump and really thought that this was his fault. So she wanted to investigate this story because she was also from India. And when she was in India filming this documentary, she was expecting to go to a really... Hi, Sarah. Hope you're having a great afternoon. Hi, Kent. Thank you. So she was expecting to find a really poor area and a really poor family that was so desperate. That's why they took this journey across the dangerous journey, the fatal journey across the southern border. Stop, Siri. Why does it do that all the time when I do this? So she happened to be in India visiting her family and decided to go find out where this little girl was from. And she kept passing all of these slums. And she's like, the little girl is probably from one of these slum areas. And what she found was that when she would interview people in the slums, they didn't even know what America was. They had no idea what America was or anything like that. But anyway, so she kept searching and kept searching. She finally found where this little girl was from in the house that she lived in before her mother brought her on that fatal journey. And she was really surprised because it looked like a mini castle. It was a home that to you and I would be just a really big upper middle class home. And she actually spoke to the grandfather, and the grandfather said that his daughter, the little girl's mom, wanted to bring the little girl over illegally to the U.S. to just live in the U.S. And they were not poor. And they paid a coyote a lot of money to come over illegally. And the grandfather said, I begged my daughter not to take her. He said, please let her stay with me. I'll pay for her college. I'll pay for her to get married. I'll pay for her wedding. But please keep her here. They didn't need to go. I think he even used the word greed. But the mom didn't listen and took her over the border. And you know what happened. But anyway... what this girl who was a super leftist, super like pro open borders and everything like that, she discovered that there is a whole industry behind this. There are even like strip malls that say, hey, you pay $1,000, you pay a few $1,000s and we'll take you to America. And usually the poor of the poor, the people who probably are refugees, they don't have that kind of money to pay a coyote thousands of dollars, or they sell themselves. So even after they come over the border, they have to work off that money that they spent coming over. Yeah, but what she found is that there is a huge industry that profits off taking people over illegally, and it's a really dangerous thing. But what she noticed in India is the poorest of the poor didn't even know what America was. And again, like this girl that brought her daughter over illegally, they were what we would consider in our country upper middle class. So there was no reason that they had to come over the border. But it's a really good film. That was the second film that I've watched an actress do that came from a far left. I don't want to be mean, but we can't take care of everyone. I don't think that's mean at all. I totally agree. You cannot be a welfare state with open borders. And it's just like when you're on a plane, what do they tell you on the plane? If anything happens, America's forgotten. America's forgotten. And then Lauren Southern has a movie called Borderless, and it's free on YouTube. Lauren Southern's is. But they tell you, put your oxygen mask on yourself before you put it on the person beside you, because if you're not well, you're not going to be any help to that person beside you. Even if it's your child, you put your mask on before you help that person. But when all of these people, like there are tens of thousands of people, probably, I guarantee you that number well, they said there's 10,000 more coming approximately. So it's 20,000 people. How do you take care of someone else if you can't take care of yourself? Exactly. I mean, that's the point. But also, they're leaving these countries behind. And, like what I just looked at from Bill Malhusian, a lot of these Haitians, a lot of them appear to be men. So all of these men are leaving their countries behind. If everyone just leaves their country and goes to one place, that's going to completely desecrate those countries even more so than they already are. Who's going to stay to build those countries back better? You can't just have everyone leave. Like a lot of these countries, people are leaving, no one's going into them. Refugees claiming political asylum in all countries other than the U.S. know that they're supposed to go to the nearest peaceful nation. Exactly. And that was one of the deals I think that Trump was working out with Mexico. That is what you are supposed to do. So that's why I just don't understand why we do not enforce anything. But I don't know if you saw, Tucker Carlson had an interview with the president of Guatemala, and at the time, a lot of people from Guatemala were leaving and trekking up through Mexico to come over our border illegally. And he said, this isn't good for us. We need our people to stay. We need our people to stay and to work, and we need good people that care about the country to make our country better, to help our economy. So it doesn't even help the country that they're leaving when all of these people are leaving. And it seems to be the same thing was happening in Europe, and it's odd. It seems to be mostly war-aged men. And parallel California situation where people are leaving the state instead of sticking around to fight the state. Yeah. I mean, I'm gone temporarily, but I'm probably going back. And a lot of people say, are you crazy? Hi, Philip. I'm having a better day now. I was going to make a video about the border, and then I just decided to get on here and talk to you guys because I was really angry. I was just feeling so mad. You get so mad sometimes, and it's not healthy. And most of the time I don't. Most of the time I don't let it get to me. It is what it is. But that whole situation just makes me so angry. And there's a Tom McDonald video that came out today. So I'm going to make a video where I watch that. That'll be fun to help ease the day. Ew, I have a hair on me. To help ease the day. Stop. Ew, get off. But it just doesn't make any sense. I don't understand why we don't implement. We have laws in place. What is the point of having all of these agencies if we're not enforcing the laws? And you try not to be like, you try not to be a conspiracy theorist, or you try not to think that there's, you know, nefarious reasons behind it, but you almost, it's like, what else is left? But I'm having a good day. I'm trying to see if they're, oh, okay. No, people just think, so what's happening with the drone situation on the border, people just think that they don't want Americans to see what's happening. But I don't know how are you going to hide something that big for so long? I have no idea. I'm angry sometimes, but I use the likes of yoga. I do yoga too. And this is how Rome fell, Germany in 1936. I hope we don't fall. States will follow their own guidelines. Yeah. Oh, speaking of yoga, I do yoga too. I'm actually, I need to get back into it, but I was actually training to be a certified yoga teacher. Not that I really want to become a yoga teacher, but because I like it so much and it kind of forces me to learn more. It's really fascinating. You can see if you look. But I like learning about yoga, and it actually, when I was in the class, I noticed myself getting calmer and calmer and calmer. When Portland was burning, it was up to the governor if he wanted to have it stopped. Okay, so this is what I don't understand about Abbott. Like, I don't understand why he's not asserting himself. Like, none of this makes sense. I deployed in Haiti, 94, terrible situation that has been made worse by corruption, recent earthquakes. Oh yeah, they did have some earthquakes, didn't they? Okay, so Representative Dan Bishop says this disaster began with the Biden admin, and it can end with them. They have the power to secure the border, but simply refuse to do it. Yeah, we were talking about Lara Logan a few times on this channel, and she brought that up. Could you imagine what the drone images are like now in Afghanistan? Oh, that's really sad in comparison to what's happening at the border. Yeah, I mean, it's all really sad. But Lara Logan Tucker Carlson was interviewing her on Fox Nation. By the way, there's some really interesting stuff on Fox Nation. You can do a free week trial if you want to check it out and then just cancel it. But he did an interview with Lara Logan. It was really fascinating, and she said the same thing. This is what's so unbelievable about all of it. And she was like, if they want to shut it down, they can shut it down. They can secure the border like that. They're just not. I'm looking for an update. Yeah, but it's funny too, because there's so many conservatives that I follow, and they tell everyone, especially now, they're like, get out of California, leave. But it's like, if all the good people leave, then what's left? I guess, I don't know, maybe some places do have to fall. But I'm probably going back to California. I'm visiting next week, so I'm going to make the decision. I have a lot to think about in regards to that. And of course, right after the election, LA implemented vaccine mandate, which I have it. It's just one more thing to, the way that I'm looking at it is, it's one more thing to hurt the economy and to get people not out and spending money. We already had, where I lived in West Hollywood, which is a pretty affluent, it's more diverse. It's not as affluent as Beverly Hills or Calabasas or anywhere like that, but it's a decently, going back to Cali, nice LL Cool J reference. Businesses are not complying. Really? I hope so. But in West Hollywood, about 30%, and I think it's the same everywhere, about 30%. Greetings from Chile. Hi. Lovely to have you. about 30% of the businesses have completely shut down and are not coming back. My agent, I have uploaded to casting, Sarah. Okay. My agent was, I did a voiceover audition earlier today. My agent just emailed me. Sometimes they come through. And I think I'm angry too because I gave myself a headache doing, I mostly, when I audition for voiceover, I'm all over the place today. That just goes to show you how angry I was. That's another reason why, I'm pulled to California because I have so many roots there now. It's been my home, my little area. Like I think you can find happiness wherever you live. And in my little area and in my little town in West Hollywood, I had my favorite, like all of my favorite little places that I would go to all the time. My favorite sushi place. It's owned by this Asian couple. They're super nice. My favorite little donut place. I had my favorite little Korean spot. Cost like $20. You're there all day. It's wonderful. I had all these little places that I loved and they knew me and I miss them. So yes, it's kind of a crazy, wild place and most of the people there are quite annoying and the politics are terrible. Are you a SAG member? They just elected Fran Drescher as president. Did they really? I love Fran Drescher. Yes, I am, but I have not paid attention to any of that recently. I like the SAG. Well, love hate. Also, my agent, I really like. Donuts Need. Yes, it's the cutest little donut shop. There's literally like 2 tables in there, and they sell like all kinds of like, they sell Yoo-hoo. But they sell all kinds of drinks and lunch, and they'll make like egg sandwiches. I don't know if you like those. Yeah, Bill Malusian. I follow him on Twitter. If you guys want to stay, he has excellent coverage of what's happening on the border. And Bill Malusian, he works for National, is that how you say it? National Fox now? But he used to work for Fox LA. So that's pretty cool. And his whole assignment, I believe, since he's been with Fox, is the southern border. That's who I got all of those recent updates about the southern border. But my agent, I had to do, I don't know why, I usually do animation auditions. That's my sweet spot. But once in a while, they'll send me commercials. And those are just really, really hard for me. I don't know why. And I just gave myself a headache doing that. It's because it's so upbeat and happy. And usually the dialogue, it's like you're trying to sell something. It's not just things that you say naturally. So I gave myself a headache. But he got it and he liked it. So that's good news. I'm like, please, I don't even care about getting the job sometimes. I'm like, please just don't tell me I did it. I just want to make it like decent. As long as it's decent and I didn't embarrass myself in front of my agent, like that's good. So now that we're all here, here I'll give you one more story. This is pretty funny. So Bill Maher was recently on Jimmy Kimmel, and he was blaming the liberal media for scaring the crap out of people. And this is what he said. So he's on Jimmy Kimmel, and he's just raking the liberal media for scaring people about the Ovid. And he says, I have to cite, I saw some of Star Raiders a few weeks ago. If you probably saw, if you blink, then you didn't see me in the film. Okay, so he says, I have to cite a survey that was in the New York Times, which is a liberal paper, so they were not even looking for this answer. This is really interesting. But they were talking about this. The question was, what do you think the chances are that you would have to go to the hospital if you get Ovid? And Democrats thought that this was way higher than Republicans. 41% of Democrats, and the answer is actually between 1 and 5%. So 41% of the Democrats thought that it was a really high chance that you were going. And it's actually only 1 and 5% that you would be going to the hospital. So it said 41% of Democrats thought it was over 50% chance you would have to go to the hospital. Another 28% thought it was 20 to 49%. So 70% of Democrats thought it was way, way higher than it really was. And then he goes on to say liberal media has to take responsibility for that, for scaring the crap out of people. And this is interesting too. He goes on to say, and the reason why I'm bringing this up is because it is much harder for every touring act to sell tickets in blue states, whereas red states, it's all good. So I just want to say to these people in Raphael, Pittsburgh, New York, I ain't gonna give it to you. I promise. We're safe. We're doing everything we can. There's distancing, there's masking. Enjoy life, embrace life. So consume more liberal media or identify as Democrat who naturally would consume more liberal media. Think that your chance of being hospitalized because of is way higher than what it is. 70% of them think that it's way higher. And I can attest to this because during the majority of this entire thing for the past 2 years, I've been mostly in West Hollywood. That's where I lived. And that's one of the reasons I temporarily got out. I was trying to write out sort of the rest of this situation outside because the energy there was just awful. Like you walk around and everyone is just in fear. They're on edge. They're anxious. I got cussed out on the road once. And here, everyone's just, there's still people that wear masks even if they don't have to, and that's fine. That's your choice. Like, and you don't have to wear them indoors where I am right now. But I would say most people, now that there's another variant out, most people wear a mask, and that's cool, but no one gives you any crap for not, and it's just free. People are happy. They're more relaxed. But it was not the case in West Hollywood. People were so on edge. And he was saying the liberal media should take responsibility for this. Remember on CNN when they had the ticker at the bottom of the screen all the time? Bill Maher's show gets 1 million viewers on HBO. At least he does call out the Democrats once in a while. Yeah. You're fortunate you get attacked that one. Oh, yeah. So someone brought up, this was another reason why I was like, I just need a little breather. Yes, John, I know exactly what you're saying. I'm going to tell them just in case they don't know that story. This is one more reason why I just needed a little bit of a breather from West Hollywood. It was also protest central. Like where I lived, I would open my door and protesters were just like spilling onto my street. I was ground zero for all the protests that happened last summer. And we had probably about a few weeks in a row of just ongoing protests every day. And then the last major one was that one. I don't know if you saw the drone footage out of Hollywood. It started in Hollywood and then they all marched to West Hollywood. 20,000 people. 20,000 people just marched down the street. But before that happened, the night that we had the major riots, I was in my car trying to get out of West Hollywood. I saw the news footage, KTLA, and realized, oh, those cop cars that are on fire, that's in my neighborhood. That's a mile down that's my mall. That's where I go shopping. And it was all my neighborhood that was on fire. And I was like, oh, crap, my boyfriend's coming to pick me up. So I call him, but where I lived, we were pretty much safe because say I live right here, the fires were a mile this way, but we were going the opposite way. So I was thinking, okay, we're good, we're safe. But I call him just in case. He's already on his way. And I'm like, hey, heads up, this is happening at this location. You should be fine. We're nowhere near it, but this is happening. And he said, okay. So about 15 minutes later, he gets to my apartment, and usually he'll send a text that says, take your time, I'm outside, don't rush or anything. This time he said, come out now. And I was like, okay, I will. So I get my stuff together really quick. I go outside and he's like, it is chaos. So get in his car and we're driving again. Like the cop cars that you saw on fire in LA, I lived here. It was a mile this way. Okay. We're going this way. But even still, that is how widespread the madness was. So we get down a few blocks and then it's just, I don't even know how to describe it. West Hollywood, we have the biggest Halloween party in the country. We have one of the biggest Pride festivals. It's a party area. A lot of young people, you barely ever see kids. So I'm used to chaos in my neighborhood. I'm used to partiers, chaos. We've had protests before, used to all of it. This was different. There was such a weird and dark and thing. I don't know how to describe it. So anyway, we're in the car passing a few roads. You just see people everywhere, like in the streets, doing circles in the streets on bicycles, just not following the rules. There was even this kid just directing traffic, just decided to direct traffic. And so anyway, we're driving, go down a few blocks, and then all of a sudden I look out my window and every single window is busted in. Everything is tagged. A cab, all cops are the B word, the anarchy sign, just everything. And this is how freaked out. I didn't even get out my phone to film it because that's just how shocked I was. I'd never seen anything like it. It looked like a war zone. So I'm looking around, I'm like, oh my gosh, and this is my neighborhood. This is where I feel safe. And I just start crying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I cannot believe what I'm seeing. And it's just blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks of this. All of a sudden, we get close to the Beverly Center. If you know West Hollywood or LA, then you understand the Beverly Center. So we get to the Beverly Center, and there's a big intersection, and all of a sudden, so we're at the stop. We're about 2 cars back from the stoplight, and the light turns green, but we can't go anywhere. We're completely stopped. And all these people just start marching. And again, guys, this is where I am. This is where things are on fire. The people are coming from this direction. They're coming from the opposite direction. Like, this is how crazy and spread out it was. I don't even know where they were coming from. Hundreds of people were coming from this direction towards this way. And the fires are like over here. What is going on? So all of a sudden we see all these people marching and all this stuff, and there's just a few of them at first, and we're like, oh gosh, and we're just stuck there. There's nowhere we can go. They've stopped traffic. The light is green. We can't go anywhere. There's not one police officer in sight. And then all of a sudden this kid knocks on our window. My boyfriend and I were like, yes. So the kid, he ended up being nice. He was probably in his early 20s. He said, hey man, to my boyfriend, he said, hey man, you have a really nice car. You're going to want to take a U-turn and just get the F out of here. There's a lot of people behind me. And we were like, okay, thank you. Rolled the window back up. And in my mind, I'm like, man, that was really nice. Like, I'm so glad that was nice of him. But also it just confirmed my fears that this was an unhinged, angry crowd. And then right after he said that, all of a sudden, just like a few people turned into over 100 people at one point were surrounding our car. And again, I did not film while it was happening. I have once they dissipated, because I was like, do not draw attention to yourself. Do not do anything. Just sit here. Over 100 people surrounded our car. And it was just, and we saw like what looked like people that were probably in Antifa. Like one guy had a big pipe in his hand as tall as I am. I'm 5'1", this huge pipe. But they were just angry and marching, and we were stuck there for probably about 10 minutes. And it was just terrifying. The whole time you're sitting there like a sitting duck. And they didn't do anything. They left us alone. Thank God. But they were so close. I could have rolled down my window and touched all of them. That's how close they were. And they stopped us. The light was green. We were totally stopped in the middle of the road. But we couldn't turn around. We were totally boxed in. But it was terrifying. Because, at this point, I was watching images of them burnt. There were abandoned cop cars in the middle of the road on fire. So you have no idea what they're capable of. There's no police officers. There's no nothing. They're angry. They're unhinged. Half my neighborhood was destroyed. So it was terrifying. But yes, they didn't do anything. The crowd eventually dissipated. We drove off. We did see a line of officers once we passed the intersection and got through the intersection. We did see police officers. Here's a funny part of that story, though, I never told. So I do have a video after the crowd dissipated, because when we were surrounded, again, I was just like, I had my sunglasses on, and there were just tears under my sunglasses. And I was like, just do not draw attention to yourself. Just don't do it. Don't draw attention to yourself. What I realized afterwards when I went and watched that video footage, we were blasting Fox News, and I think it was Tucker Carlson, which I don't know why he was on at that time, but we had Fox News radio playing in the car and it was blasting. And my thought was like, why don't we just sacrifice ourselves to the crowd? But neither of us even noticed that when we were in the car, but it was blasting. But no, it was terrifying. And then afterwards, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, am I a sissy? Like, why was I so scared? Nothing happened. Nothing actually happened to us. And I even talked to my boyfriend about it and someone else, and he was like, no, it was scary. Yeah, it emboldened. So John is saying that those riots emboldened a lot of people. It did. And I can only speak on my neighborhood. Well, I've done research in other neighborhoods as well, but I'll just tell you my personal experience in my neighborhood. So that night, that was, I think it was May 29th. And I went back the next day actually and helped clean up. I went to Melrose, and that's where we actually had several buildings that were burnt. Some of them were still burning when I showed up. Oh, but I want to get back to my story before I go to that. So I'm like, like, what's wrong with me? Was it really that scary? And they were like, yes, it was that, because you just felt evil. It felt thick. Hi, Kelly. We've been here for 46 minutes now. Considering this experience, I can see why you want to go back. Well, yeah, it was just all of it. It was the lockdown, the energy from that, having that experience. I mean, think about it. And what was weird too is like hi Kelly, I make these videos and I talk about this stuff and I cover a lot of this stuff in the videos, and it was also this feeling of, I talk about scary stuff. I talk about rioting and protesting, but I'm in my little safe room, talking to the camera. I'm researching these stories, and it's like I talk about these stories, and then all of a sudden I became the story. Like I was in the middle of it, and I didn't go looking for it. I was in my neighborhood that I thought was safe, and it's a weird, it does something weird to you. And then after that, seeing the media and your city council just gaslight you and say it wasn't that bad. It was mostly peaceful. It was mostly peaceful. It wasn't that bad. It was like being, I don't even know how to describe it. It was almost like being victim blamed. And I'm a tough cookie. I used to work in psychiatric hospitals. I've been through a lot. I'm not, but it was weird. It was very weird. But yeah, having that, and then having my local politicians gaslight, having the media gaslight, it was such a strange feeling. But I want to get back to the increased crime too, because somebody said that. The next day I went and I purposefully, because I was so freaked out that night. I saw the next day that people were going out volunteering to help clean up. Hi from Greensboro. Hi, Christy. I saw that people were going out and volunteering to help sweep up the glass, to help clean off the spray paint, and just help some of the business owners, because a lot of these people were small business owners, especially on Melrose and Fairfax area. A lot of small minority-owned businesses, family-owned businesses. So I went out the next day purposefully to unscare myself, I guess, like give myself a better last perception of my neighborhood. And I will say it was really cool. Just a lot of people came together that cared, and teenagers, college kids, like every political spectrum, every race, like everyone was out there helping each other clean up. One of the most disturbing things I saw, I have this on video. I walked past a nursing home that was on the Fairfax district, and this was right where I went to where the cop cars burned. No, but I have it with me. Hold on, I have it. Wait 1 second, I'm gonna get it. Oh my god, it's in this like huge thing. Okay, so one of the things that I saw was, it was a nursing home right in the Fairfax district, and that's where the cop cars were that were burning. Outside of the nursing home, there was a makeshift sign that said, "We have elderly and sick in here. Please leave us alone." That was really sad to me. And then that's also where, hold on, where's my Ninja Star? Oh, I have it right here. I'm getting my Ninja Star. I know it's... Someone said that's the worst ninja kit ever. No, it is, because there's also a foot tampering. This show and tell. You put this on your, no, this isn't my Ninja Star. This is a foot tambourine. So you put this on your foot, and I've tried to learn how to use it while playing my ukulele, but it's really hard. That's a foot tambourine. That's not. Here's my. Oh, it's so sharp. It actually put. You want me to kick it? It's the most annoying sound in the world. So that's pretty cool. How cool. It's really heavy and it's so sharp that savage. It's so, I should start carrying it. I used to carry this around in my purse. It's so sharp. It actually, this is the case. And you know what's cool about the case? It has this little thing, and you can put your belt through it and wear it on your side if you want to. My friend Frank, I used to work at a bar in West Hollywood, and I was a server there, and one of my good friends, his name is Frank. He's in his 70s. You could use it as a knife, yeah. Chopping vegetables. Oh, someone says Bill Malusian is still, do you ever throw it at anything? I've thrown it at the wall a few times, but I don't want to throw it at the, oh, and trees. I've thrown it at trees and the wall. I should get a, I think it would be cool to get a bullseye, right? And try to throw it at the bullseye. That would be cool. Oh, but back to West Hollywood. Someone was talking about, oh, somebody said, so Bill Malusian, he's flying his drones again over the bridge in Del Rio, Texas. That's good. The ninja would have dropped me, but she had a trombone strapped to her foot. It's a foot tambourine. Oh, you did say tambourine. I thought you said trombone. Trombone. But we started having, so in West Hollywood, one of the areas that was hit really bad by a lot of the looting is an area called Melrose and then Fairfax, and they're basically like right sort of adjacent to each other. They're right next to each other. And what happened that night was, I think, and if you talk to the locals around that area, they'll say yes. So in Melrose, we've had a lot of increased crime on that street of Melrose Avenue. And Melrose Avenue, there's a lot of sneaker shops. There's a lot of like vintage clothing stores, record stores, like urban clothes. It's kind of a funky area, but it's always been really cool. Always been a little bit grimy, but really cool. And also a lot of high-end shops too. But what happened when we had those riots is I think it emboldened a lot of criminals. Their crime happens all the time there now in broad daylight. There was recently a video of 3 people just sitting there. They were eating lunch at an outside table. Fun fact, Fairfax means fair hair. Interesting. I didn't know that. There were people just shopping. They got done shopping and they were eating at an outside table, and there was surveillance footage of a guy just coming over there and robbing them in broad daylight. And this happens all the time now. It's people that don't live in that neighborhood, and they come to that neighborhood to specifically rob people that are walking around in that neighborhood and rob stores. It's really sad, but it seems like, and I'll even go, do you guys have this Citizen app? I'll even go on the Citizen app and just kind of see like what's going on in that area. Sarah Fairfax Sansoni. I'll go on the Citizen app just to see what's going on in that area and to see what people are saying, and that seems to be the consensus. A lot of people agree that live there say, you know, this started happening right around our riots. It seems to be when a lot of these criminals got emboldened and realized they could get away with stuff. I have a cool story for you too. So not only this is just how, I mean, LA that night, it was scary. Like, even after we left that area, we were driving the highway and we went past a police chase. It just, the whole night, I was like, what is this? Grand Theft Auto? That's what it felt like. Worse than Grand Theft Auto. I don't even know. It was so scary. What was I saying? Oh, even this is how widespread it was. So there was massive amounts of looting. Melrose, Fairfax, West Hollywood, Beverly Hills, and then Santa Monica, which is like 20 minutes away. Santa Monica, I think, got hit as far as the mass looting, not necessarily like the burning of buildings, but Santa Monica got hit really, really bad. But here's a cool story. So Santa Monica had some really, really bad looting. And apparently this was going to happen again. Like a big group planned to go to Santa Monica again after they had sort of like cleaned up everything and after things calmed down. And I can't remember if it was the next weekend or a few weekends after, but there was a big group of people that were planning on going to Santa Monica again to do some mass looting again. And this is actually kind of cool how it didn't happen. So keep in mind, this was at the height of our lockdowns. So somebody, I'm guessing no looters, got arrested. I have no idea who. And I can't even blame the cops for that night because it was so widespread. There was no way they could have had control over that night. So I can't blame them. They did do a good job of shutting it down again. And it was like, it was just days and days in a row of people coming out and protesting in our neighborhood. It seemed like it never stopped. We had 1 p.m. curfews where we had to be in our homes. All the businesses shut down at 1 p.m. and we had the National Guard out and they were everywhere. They were standing on top of buildings. They were at every street corner. And I remember having to go out like really early and get groceries and everything I needed because I was like, oh my gosh, everything's going to be closed at 1. I forgot, but we had a few days where we had early curfews. So this group was planning on mass looting in Santa Monica, and somebody tipped off police. They saw an Instagram story and screenshotted it and sent it to police where people were saying, hey, we're going to meet up here at 7 p.m. So police were like, okay, interesting. So they had this tip, and they also noticed on a Saturday night at the height of our lockdowns, they noticed an odd amount of cars on the highway going towards Santa Monica. So they put some drones up and they're watching what's happening and they're like, okay, this is kind of weird. So they all of a sudden they put themselves at a bunch of different exits around Santa Monica and they just started pulling people over for like every little minor traffic stop. Anyway, they basically did that to say, we're here and we're watching you. And the people turned around. It was a bunch of people that rented cars and were going to Santa Monica to loot again. Because if you saw some of those videos, what they would do is a car would drive up, 5 people would get out, hit up a store, get back in, and then they would drive somewhere else. So that's what they were planning on doing, but they busted them with drones and just the cops having a really big presence and pulling a lot of people over. So I thought that was pretty cool. I also think it's really smart. Yeah. I wish that story would have gone a little bit bigger, but that just goes to show if you're really smart, you can shut these things down and you don't have to arrest people. You don't have to, there's so much that you can do creatively where it doesn't have to get to the point where I think a lot of it does. This was also really creative. Los Angeles did this as well. They had, how when you have a riot, so there was a riot one night during the summer, and it wasn't during this, it was like months after, but there was more rioting, and how cops will be on a line, and they say move back, and they go forward, and they say move back and go forward. Well, that's what they were doing, but instead of just having the cops, they didn't have their officers in riot gear, they were mounted on horses. So it was mounted police officers. And it was so genius because nobody was violent towards the police officers. Nobody got hurt. Nobody got arrested in that situation because the horses intimidated them enough that they just backed off. So usually they won't back up. They'll try to be aggressive towards cops, but the line of cops backing them up were mounted officers. I thought that was pretty smart. Some security guards were told not to attempt to stop thieves. Yeah. And I think that happened to us too in LA because I mean at some point if you're just too overrun, what are you going to do? So I don't blame them for that night. And it's weird too, being in Richmond, they also had a lot of rioting and protesting and a lot of stuff burnt down, but it was different. I don't think there was as much looting. I could be wrong, but it seemed like it was more focused towards monuments and historical buildings. Someone burnt down, there's a building, the Daughters of Confederacy. I saw a photo of a police horse that caught a brick in the face. That made me pretty angry. Oh, that's terrible. That's really awful. I don't like that at all. But most people that might be aggressive towards people, I think, usually will show some decency around animals. Most people, obviously, not everyone. But the anger here or the anger in Richmond, it seemed to be more towards monuments and stuff like that. They could have used arms. And Richmond here, that's where they just took down that statue, the Robert E. Lee statue. I kind of want to go see that later, but a lot of stuff got vandalized here. They vandalized all of these statues, and they just took down the Robert E. Lee statue. Thank you so much, Kelly. I really appreciate that. Thank you. What else did they take? What time is it, by the way? Oh, it's only 2? I thought it was way later than that. I saw a police horse kick a girl rioter. That is no joke. I have horses around where I'm living right now, and I make sure, like, you're not supposed to stand, like, right behind them because they can kick. But I respect the horse. Please do not kick me. I never get too comfortable around them. I don't want to get kicked. Yeah, I mean, don't play with fire. You won't get burned. I'm good with removing monuments to traitors, but I think they should be preserved in a museum. Yeah, I agree. You know, that's a tough one. I almost made a video about it, but I really don't know where I stand with that. Because I do understand why someone would want, if that's a symbol of do you know what I'm saying? Like, I understand kind of both sides of the argument, and so I can kind of understand why they would want it down, but I agree with you. Put it in a museum or something like that so we understand, because especially with the Robert E. Lee monument, I mean, it's in an area, it's like, I think it's like a roundabout. I'm an academic historian. I'm an academic historian. Interesting. Yeah, it's just not something that I feel like I can give like a really good opinion on. But the way that this statue is in Richmond, it really is like it's history matters. Oh, I totally agree. And I'm actually surprised they haven't come for more stuff in Richmond. And what I didn't realize about Richmond is it was the capital of the Confederacy. So I think that's why a lot of stuff was targeted here. But even they have a cemetery, it's called Hollywood, which is weird because I lived in Hollywood and they have a Hollywood cemetery here. But even in the Hollywood cemetery, they have James Monroe buried there and another president, I can't remember. And a lot of things in the cemetery were vandalized. Most of the statues are of soldiers, not racist. Yeah. I don't agree with all of them being taken down, but I think where my worry is, okay, what are you going to put up next? And the thing about Richmond is Monument Avenue. That's where this Robert E. Lee statue is. It's an infamous place. It's known for being really beautiful, and the statues are very beautiful. So I don't know what they're going to put. Lee did not want statues, he said. Interesting. I didn't know that. I wonder, I didn't look up where they're going to put him. Another thing, the biggest Confederate monument in all of the U.S. is Stone Mountain, Georgia. And there have been talks that, I don't know if you've ever seen Stone Mountain, but it's basically a giant piece of granite that's sticking out from the earth. And there's a huge mural that's like etched in the side of it. And I think Robert E. Lee is on there, Stonewall Jackson, and one more person, I can't remember. But people were protesting Stone Mountain a lot and they basically wanted it blasted off. But as far as I know right now, Lance, I agree, put them in a museum, don't destroy them. Yeah, I agree with that. Jefferson Davis, oh, thank you. So it's Jefferson Davis, Stonewall Jackson, and Robert E. Lee on Stone Mountain. That's the biggest Confederate monument, and it's had controversy. Thank you. It's had controversy for some time because of that, but there's a committee that talks about, or there's a board or a committee or something that discusses the future of Stone Mountain. And what they said is they're like, we're not going to take it away. We will add to it. We'll add more information, we'll add more context, but we're not going to take anything away. And I'm glad they're not doing that one, because there's actually a laser show that they do on the side of the mountain where the monument is. And the laser show, it's actually pretty beautiful. You can look it up online if you ever want to watch it. I used to go, so what you do in Georgia is you get a bucket of, in the summertime, that's where they have the laser shows. You get a bucket of Kentucky Fried Chicken, and you get a blanket, and you go and you sit in the field and watch the laser show. But the laser show actually had a really good message, and it showed the South being defeated. And I can't remember if it was Jefferson Davis, Stonewall, maybe it was Stonewall Jackson, but it was one of the guys on his horse. It shows them being defeated. It shows them being sad, and he takes his sword and he breaks it. And as the sword is falling, it turns into the North and the South, and then it comes together and it's the North and the South, and it's a really nice song. But that's the end of the laser show. So they do, there is a lot of there is a lot of history there, and they do teach you a lot. I just got really dark, I'm sorry. Yeah, it's really cool. You can look it up online. But to me, sorry about that. But to me, the laser show does a really good job of having context and telling you all about the North and the South and everything that happened. So I'm glad that they're not taking that down. Plus, it would be very expensive to take it down, and it would be very dangerous. They would literally have to blast the side of the mountain to get it down. So there's that. Okay, I'm going to head off here. And thank you everyone that joined. That was really fun. I'll probably be back sometime this weekend. Sarah, have you been following the Gabby? If so, what are your thoughts on it? Oh, okay, before I go, I'll answer that question. I don't know how to say her last name. Gabby Petitos? Gabby Petit. I don't know how to say her last name. So Gabby is this girl. How old is she? She's very young, right? She's in her early 20s, late teens. I've been following it. Petito. Gabby Petito. This young girl was traveling in a not a van. It's better than a van. Anyway, she was traveling all over the country with her fiance. I think something is up. That's very suspicious. He should have stayed with her. I don't know many of the details, but they were traveling and going to visit a lot of places all over the country, and they had been doing so for a while. And the last place that they were at was, what park is that called? The Grand Teton National Park. And that's the last place she was seen. That's the last place that she was at. And her family hadn't heard from her for a few days and were getting worried. And then her fiance returned. They lived in Florida, I believe, right? Her fiance returned, and she was not with him. And he said, I don't know what happened. The last time I saw her was in, Grand Teton Park, and he didn't really give a whole lot of information. Do you think it had anything to do with the female couple that was killed? They say there might be a connection. Why can't they make the fiance talk? Well, because I don't think they can. His lawyer came out with I don't know, Kelly, because I didn't look into that too much. So his lawyer came out with a statement that said he's going to take a back seat and let the family do the search. So her family members have gone to that area to try to search for her. He said he's going to take a back seat, let the family members search, and he's not going to say anything else. That's basically the gist of the statement that his lawyer, that's the last that I saw about that. I think it was yesterday. So he's not saying anything, and the family is absolutely repulsed. They are like, how can you do this? How can you be with our daughter and not say anything and not help us find her? And why would you leave without her? If I was with a loved one and that person got lost, I would not be leaving that area, and I would call the family immediately and not leave that area. I would be there until that person is found. And that's what looks suspicious about all of this. It's just all of it is beyond bizarre, and it's really sad. And apparently before they happened, before she went missing, well, not apparently, this did happen. Seriously, I wouldn't have left either. How could you? I would have stayed there until we found something, her answers. I don't understand how you could leave, and he didn't call the family immediately. Correct me if I'm wrong, but am I right? He didn't call the family? They didn't even know she was missing until he came home? Because it said they hadn't heard from her for, I think, a few days, and they were starting to get worried. So that's correct. What? If that was somebody that I'm with, or even if I was with a friend, the very first thing I would have done was call the family and say, hey, this is happening. I would have stayed there. They would have come out. We would have searched. We would have contacted authorities. The whole thing is so bizarre. I don't know. Or I guess there's a part of the story but I don't know why anyone would do that. I guess there could be, maybe she ran off and she's like, I don't want you to tell anyone. But even still, like, to leave a young girl alone anywhere in a place where it's beyond bizarre. It doesn't make any sense. But they were pulled over by police, and there's police footage. I can't remember why they got pulled over. Oh, they were going like 45 Eva. No. They were going 45 miles an hour, and Eva, stop. Come here. They were going 45 miles an hour in a 15 mile. Where is she? Come here. Oh, come here. Do you want to be on camera? Hold on. Eva's going to say hi. Eva. Wait, why are you right behind me? Where? Oh my God, I can't even get, she's right behind me. She just ran away. Hold on. You're getting told the story. Eva, I'm trying to get her. Hold on. No, come here. Come here. Arr. Gotcha. Come here. Ow. Hello, say hello. Eva, where do you think Gabby is? Hi, where do you think Gabby is? She likes this. Oh, yeah. But they were pulled over. I know, she's a really big cat. She is Eva, big cat. You're a big cat. Whoa, lift with the knees. That's a solid beast. Ow. Oh, God. I need to cut her nails. Eva, go look for Gabby. She's a beautiful cat. Ow, ow, ow. Okay. But they were pulled over. Woo, cat hair. They were pulled over for going 45 miles an hour in a 15 mile an hour area. And when the cop pulled them over, Gabby was really distressed. He took her to the side, and she was just saying, I'm having a really hard time. We're fighting. But it was odd because it seemed like almost she was more of the aggressor, I think, and then they got physical with each other, and she was saying, I'm just having a mental health moment. So the cops actually let them go after pulling them over, and they just cited it as a mental health thing. And she just appeared pretty anxious. She said that she was getting anxious a lot, and that I think she was saying she has OCD. She was extremely upset, yeah. So this whole thing is just incredibly, incredibly bizarre. I don't know what he's doing. It's weird. But I want to stay up to date with that. Also off topic, but if you want a really good documentary series to watch, they both had mental issues. That's what it seems like. And I mean, obviously this allegedly, we don't know anything, allegedly, like if he did, I wonder if he was like, oh crap, I did something. I don't know. Too many mental health excuses. Yeah. I don't know. The whole thing is just real. Ew, look at all that cat hair. The whole thing is just really, really, really strange. Okay, I think I'm going to get off now and go tend to my cat. I don't know. It's raining here. Is it? Yeah. It's raining here like crazy. We've had so much rain. I was held hostage in a Starbucks for like 45 minutes yesterday. Later, everyone. Have a great weekend. All right. Bye, you all. Have a really good weekend. Thank you for joining. That was a lot of fun. I enjoyed myself. Great chat, sweetie. Thank you so much, Kelly. I enjoyed myself. I hope you all enjoyed yourselves as well. Bye. Bye, Special K. Bye, John. Bye, Daybreak. Bye, Sarah. Have a great weekend. Bye, Philip. Bye, GeoMac. Bye, Christy. Thank you for joining, everyone. Okay, I'll see you all later. Eva says bye. She just doesn't really know it. Where is she? Eva, you're a big cat. You're big. She's big. Okay. Don't let your bed spread. Okay, bye, everybody.